and welcome back. In today's video I'm going to share a recipe for a Sazon and butter baked chicken. I know I haven't shared a recipe for a baked chicken, like a Trini style baked chicken, but look out for that recipe. It's going to be coming up in a few weeks. So today I'm going to share the recipe for this Sazon and butter baked chicken. I'm going to mix the Sazon and the butter and I'm going to stuff it under the skin and it's going to get really nice and crispy. And if you're worried about the MSG in the Sazon, you can use an Old Bay seasoning, you can use Cajun seasoning, or you can even make your own blend of Sazon. I'll leave the ingredients down below with all the things that you'll need without the MSG to make the Sazon. So if you guys want to see how I make this really crispy, delicious Sazon butter baked chicken, then keep watching. So I have my whole chicken here. I already went ahead and washed it with some lime, and all I did was I cut through where the thigh is. So I cut through the skin here and into the meat. So I did that on both sides, and you want to make sure the cavity is entirely cleaned out. So you'll see like little parts of like the neck and the gizzard and different parts will be stuck in here, so make sure you take that out. If you want to use it, you can definitely keep it in your fridge, or your freezer I should say. So mine came with a pop-up timer, so I'll know when it's ready, but you can definitely have a thermometer to check it out to make sure your internal temperature is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Another thing I did was I cut through the tendon and the skin here at the bottom of the drumstick, and I just ripped everything out. So you'll notice all you see is bone here. So this is just gonna help the dark meat to cook at the same time with the white meat. Because if you notice, sometimes when you bake chicken, the breast is very dry, and then your leg and your thigh and everything, it's nice and juicy. So the reason for that is because you overcooked your breast so that the thigh and the legs could cook. So you want to prevent that from happening, and that's why you pull this part off to help it to cook more evenly. So to season up the chicken, I'm just going to use a few ingredients. So like I said, this is a Sazon and butter baked chicken. So I'll definitely need some Sazon. I'm using this Goya Sazon. This one is the Culantro y Achiote. I don't know how to pronounce it, so don't kill me. Okay, so I also have lots of butter. Everything I use here with exact proportions will be in the description box below, so click that down bar below so you can see all the exact measurements. And you can use less or more of these ingredients if you want. Some people like more butter, some people like more Sazon. I'm just gonna go in with 2 packages for now, and as I season I'll determine if I want to use more. I'll also use a little bit of salt because the Sazon has salt in it already, so I don't want to go too heavy on that. I'm gonna go in with my Cajun seasoning that I got from Louisiana. I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of this because I like the kick that it gives. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of black pepper, definitely some green seasoning. You know I can't bake chicken without green seasoning. And to top it off at the end, I'm just gonna squeeze some orange juice. So let's put the chicken aside for now and make our seasoning. So my butter is at room temperature, but I want it to be a little softer. So I'm just gonna put it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. You don't want this to be melted, like runny. You want it to be still firm, but easy to mash. Okay, so I went ahead and mashed up the butter. So you want it to be very easy to stuff under the skin of the chicken. So to the butter, I'm gonna add in those 2 packages of Sazon. Like I mentioned earlier, you can use some Old Bay seasoning in place of this, because I know a lot of people have MSG allergies and you can't tolerate the MSG. So you can just use some poultry seasoning or any types of dry seasoning you have. Or you can just substitute it for this Cajun seasoning. So you just want to mix that. To that, I'm going to add that Cajun seasoning. A little bit of cracked black pepper. I'm going to go in with a little bit of the green seasoning since this is going under the skin. So some of that seasoning could go under the skin too. But make sure it's not too wet. Make sure you just take the dry pieces. Doesn't that look amazing? I still feel like it needs 1 more pack of Sazon, so I'm gonna add 1 more pack. And the only reason I'm gonna add 1 more pack is this is a really big bird, so I usually just do 2 packs because I use regular size chicken, but this one is a really big one. Okay, so now since this is finished, now we're ready to season up the bird. So the first thing I'm gonna do is stuff that butter and Sazon mixture we made under the skin of the chicken. So you're just gonna go, let me see if I can show you. So you're gonna go under the breast here, and you're gonna try to create like a pocket. That's gonna hold our butter and the Sazon mixture. So take little bits at a time and push it in under the skin. And that's fine if it gets messy, because when it cooks it's gonna taste delicious. And you can go from the top as well. So you have to massage your chicken. You have to show your chicken some love. So now you want to go ahead and do the legs, the drumsticks. So you can turn it over. And you can also go into the cavity and put some of that in there as well. So I'm sorry I have my chicken skin up all out, but we're still seasoning, so I'm gonna go in with the green seasoning now, because I like the bony pieces, so I like to make sure that's seasoned properly. And with this you just basically rub the green seasoning all over the chicken. So the last thing I'm gonna do is go in with a little bit of Cajun seasoning on the top. If you ever make it out to Louisiana, make sure you pick up one of these. I was out in Louisiana a couple months ago and everyone recommended this, and I'm so mad I only got one bottle. So I actually just remembered that this does have salt in it, so I'm not gonna use any extra salt. If it needs salt when it's finished baking, I can always add that after, but you can't take salt out. And lastly, I'm gonna squeeze some orange juice. So I forgot to mention, I have my oven preheating at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you wanted to let this marinate, you can definitely let it marinate for a couple hours before you start baking. But I'm gonna bake mine right away. So I'm gonna put this in the oven. It's gonna bake at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes. Then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna change the temperature to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's gonna bake for about an hour to an hour and a half. Or since I have a pop-up timer, it'll pop up to tell me when it's 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Or at about an hour and a half, you can go in and you can inject a meat thermometer into the thigh to make sure it's reading 165. So it's really based on what type of chicken you use, how big the chicken is or how small it is. So after about an hour to hour and 15 minutes, you can go in and check the thigh to see if it's reached the temperature. One last thing before I put it into the oven, make sure you tuck your wings underneath. So I like to just tuck it in under the drumstick because you don't want it to burn. Actually, I like it burn, but for the purposes of this video, I don't want it to burn. So just tuck it in. So the baked chicken is finished. And if you notice, a lot of the butter melted and it settled at the bottom. So I drained out the previous liquid that was in here when I took it out the first time. And I reduced it in a pan and I sauteed some asparagus in there. So you don't have to throw out the drippings from your chicken. You can definitely make use of it. Saute some veggies in it. You can make some gravy for mashed potatoes. So you definitely don't have to throw it out. It does have some use. So I hope you guys enjoyed the recipe. If you notice, it's very crispy on the outside. I'll cut into it just now and show you guys how juicy it is inside. And if you wanted it a little browner and a little more crispy, you can put on your broiler on high and put it in there for about 5 minutes. So if you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel to see all the latest videos and leave me all your comments below. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!